They called it Ngolo Mboko, the strength of death. Before it had a name, it was just a beast, flesh and bone, blood and muscle. But when the children started whispering, when the hunters began dying, when entire families vanished into the blackness of the jungle, we gave it a name. And from that day, no man in Mboko spoke it aloud after dark. It was born beneath the ironwood trees, a silverback, but different. While most silverbacks reach 6 feet, this one grew taller, 6'5", shoulders wide enough to block a man's path, arms thick as the village's strongest trees. At first, they said it was a gift, a sign from the spirits, the largest silverback the Mboko forest had ever known. But gifts can turn to curses. Gorillas, you see, are not monsters. They are kings of the green world. They beat their chests not to kill, but to warn. They live in troops, families, led by the silverback who protects and guides. But Ngolo, he broke that law. He murdered his kin, crushed the skull of his own brother, tore apart challengers until the rivers ran red. Then he vanished, deep into the forbidden caves where even leopards do not tread. When he returned, he was not the same. His silver fur turned dark, black as midnight. His eyes, red like coals still burning from the fires of the earth. And his mind was broken. It started with the monkeys, the colobus, once playful and loud, found torn apart at the river's bend. Heads stacked like grim totems, their blood feeding the soil. Then the hunters vanished. Mbala, the strongest among us, found only his hand, still clutching his father's knife. His body never found. Next came the livestock, goats, chickens, even dogs slaughtered, their remains flung at the edges of the village, as if taunting us. But when little Nia disappeared from her hut one night, and they found only her doll at the jungle's edge, the whispers turned to screams. Do you know, a silverback's arms are longer than its legs, built for strength and speed, can tear through the jungle moving faster than any man, and its bite, over 1,300 pounds of force, enough to shatter bone like dry twigs. We thought our guns would protect us, our traps, our prayers. But the jungle was no longer ours. It belonged to him. Even the leopards left. The forest grew still. No bird sang. No monkey called. Only the beat. Ngolo Mboko, the strength of death. And when the chief's son vanished, taken from inside the village itself, the elders knew this was no beast. This was war. The elders say, when the jungle goes quiet, death is listening. And for weeks, Mboko village lived in silence. Ngolo's shadow fell over us like a sickness. The men stopped hunting. The women refused to fetch water past the river. Even the fires burned low, afraid to glow too bright. We tried everything. Traps, deep pits laced with sharpened spears, poisoned fruits, smeared with deadly sap, fire lines meant to drive him back into the dark. But Ngolo was no ordinary silverback. Gorillas are no fools. They are thinkers, problem solvers, their minds sharp as their teeth. A silverback can recognize danger, can learn from death. And Ngolo, he learned. He avoided our pits. He tore through our nets. He smashed the fire lines and returned the burning branches, hurled back into our homes. Every failed trap cost us lives. Every night, another family mourned. Mothers wailed until their voices cracked. Fathers dug shallow graves with trembling hands. Some said it was no longer flesh, but spirit, a demon wearing a gorilla's skin. Others claimed Ngolo was cursed, born from the earth's anger at mankind's greed. The hunters, they began to see him even when they slept. Said they heard the chest beats in their dreams. Said they woke with blood on their hands, and no memory why. Did you know? A silverback's voice can travel a mile through dense jungle? Their low grunts and roars ripple through the earth itself. But Ngolo, his call came from everywhere at once. From the trees, from the ground, from inside your skull. We counted the dead, 17 men, 6 children, 40 head of livestock. The jungle gave nothing back, only took. And then he broke the final rule. The chief's son stolen, not from the river, not from the path, but from his own hut, ripped from his mother's arms as she slept. The mark of Ngolo was left at the threshold, a single chest-beat mark, pressed deep into the mud. The men gathered, 100 strong, every warrior, every hunter, even the old soldiers who could barely lift their spears. Rusty rifles, blades blackened with age, poison darts tipped with the deadliest sap the jungle could offer, nets woven from ironwood vines, fire-hardened stakes. They called themselves the 100 Shadows, for they knew few would return to the light. A silverback's strength is legend, capable of lifting 10 times its weight, crushing bones, and snapping small trees like twigs. But Ngolo, they said he was more. He was the jungle's fury made flesh, the strength of death itself. And the 100 Shadows marched, not for victory, but for vengeance. The 100 Shadows crossed the river at dawn, knowing they would not all return. Each man dipped his hand in ash, marked his face. In our tribe, that is the sign of one who walks into death willingly. They carried spears tipped with black mamba venom, nets laced with iron thorns, even the old rifles, crude but loud enough to shake the trees. Their plan simple: corner Ngolo in the stone gully, bleed him, tire him, break him. But no plan survives a god gone mad. A silverback's charge can reach 25 miles per hour. Their bite force, over 1,300 pounds. Enough to shatter bone, tear through sinew like wet cloth. Ngolo did not wait to be trapped. He attacked first. He came from the canopy, dropped like a black boulder of muscle and rage, crushed 3 men before they even raised their spears. Bullets struck him, darts pierced his hide, but Ngolo, he kept moving. His fists, they broke skulls like melons. His jaws tore through tendons, left men screaming in the dirt. Did you know gorillas, when angered, will attack the face first? To blind, to silence, to erase identity. Ngolo, he erased 97 names that day. By nightfall, the stone gully was painted red. The ground churned to mud, thick with blood. Only 3 stood breathing, their spears broken, their spirits shattered. The chief's brother, half his face gone, but alive. A hunter named Bala, blind from Ngolo's claws, but breathing. And a boy, barely 16, too young to fight, too stubborn to die. In his final charge, Ngolo grew reckless, his strength titanic, but even gods bleed. The traps meant to hold trees, they snapped shut around him. Spear points dug deep, fire licked at his matted fur, and still, he roared. It took all 3 stabbing, slashing, burning, as the trap dragged him down. His roar, It shook the gully stones loose. But in the end, even giants fall. The jungle held its breath, then sighed. Ngolo, the death silverback, was gone. Gorillas mourn their dead. Their families gather, touch the fallen, and cry out. But Ngolo, he died alone. No family, no tribe, only the echoes of the men he dragged with him. The 100 shadows became 3, and even they would never walk the same. Their bodies healed, their minds never. And in Boko village, when the wind howls through the trees, the children still whisper his name. Ngolo, the death silverback. But the jungle never forgets. And some say, when the storms roll through the Congo Basin, they still hear it. The distant beat of a chest far too loud to be human. If you want to uncover more of what the wild keeps buried, subscribe to Wild Continuum Unveiled, because some stories were never meant to stay hidden.